try to look behind the scenes at the lives of those persons who have made a difference in shaping the history of their own country's destiny. Many of the countries in what is today referred to as the Third World, or more loosely, the developing countries, did not win their independence easily. Much blood has been shed, and many lives lost of those persons who fought to free themselves from their colonial oppressors. Often, what started as an organic ferment among the workers threw up their own indigenous leaders who led the people defiantly. Like many colonies, Jamaica has had its share of heroes who dared to confront their oppressors. Two of the most famous are Paul Bogle and George William Gordon. They were instrumental in awakening the consciousness of the people to the contradictions that existed for the poor in a Jamaica that should have thrown off the chains of slavery after emancipation came in 1838. They are among those now officially designated national heroes of independent Jamaica. What we know about these leaders is based largely on historical recollections from those who themselves were among the colonizers. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to see things as they were then through the eyes of Bogle and Gordon? What if you were to come face to face with Bogle and Gordon? Those who have watched this program know that through the magic of television, we can journey back through time and space. Today is no different.
Way Back When was funded by Mutual Life.
Good day, Deacon Bogle.
Howdy. You said and tell me you want to see me. You want to hear my story.
Sorry I'm late, but it's the first time in Stony Gut.
Well, I hope it won't be your last. This going to take long? I think we better have a seat inside.
Anyway, you feel comfortable, sir.
Well, it's a little warm in here today. You mind sitting outside?
You know. So what were the important influences in your life?
The church. The one and only Baptist church. I found inspiration in my Bible. You know, the abolitionists helped me to learn to read and write from as a little boy. So when emancipation came around in 1838, I realized then, even though I was still a young man, that if we were to be truly free in this country, we had to own some land. Our own land, where the sweat from our brow wouldn't be used to water Bucky Master cane crop, but instead would be used to plant food for our own people. Freedom don't mean a thing if you continue to be dependent on those who oppressed you before emancipation. So I was one of the first black property owners in this parish. I didn't just have land, but I had the right to vote. You know that it's less than 200 of our people who have the right to vote in this parish. All because no land, no vote. Now don't make ghosts fool you. This system is stacked against us, we people of color. We know that the people who still have power in this country have not 1 ounce of love in their hearts. Whoever dreamt that they would fly in the face of Mrs. Queen like that? Transgress her laws, wreak injustice on our subjects. A whole host of transgressions and wickedness to... Mrs. Queen don't know what bell ringing down here in little Jamaica. And for who that bell ringing? Is the sweat and the blood of the African that watered the soil in this country over the last 300 years. Is the sweat of the African that sweetened the sugar, that built the great house that Massa and his missus live in with all her imported perfume. Meanwhile, they charge poor people excessive rent for the worst land. Rockstone! If we are really free, where are the schools for our children? Where are the hospitals for sick people? Where is the justice in the courts? Where is the equality the Bible speaks about? Tell me. Tell me. We don't want pity. We don't want handouts. We're tired of hand-me-downs. What we want is jobs. We have to earn our own money so we can buy our own land. I wonder how much longer they think that big words and guns going to frighten people in this country. Well, I have news for them, though.
So what do you think is the possible solution?
Solution? There's only one solution I see. Brother, is pure wickedness cover this land. Poor people catching hell here in Jamaica. There's no hope, no opportunities. You keep hearing about patience. Oh, be patient. While Deb up in the great house having them jumbe jamboree. The work of the devil covers this land. The devil incarnate. The planters and their ringleader, the main henchman of the devil, the one they call governor here, they send him here to try us, to test the faith of the Lord's anointed. They're not satisfied with owning the best land, the best houses, the best everything. They're still behaving as if they own we the Africans. But not over my dead body. Tell them, say, that I, Deacon Bogle, say, the word of the Lord is going to set all Africans free in this land called Jamaica. And when that day comes, when that great day comes, judgment will prevail in every great house in Jamaica. So help my God.
I've been expecting you. Won't you come in? Come inside. Won't you have some tea?
It's important for me to get here. I'll get a first-hand view.
Did you ride or walk?
I walked.
And did you see any civil disobedience on the way?
Well, you know how times are. Sir, the first thing that comes to mind is the paradox of your enjoying this type of lifestyle and your concern for the...
For the poor?
Yes.
But remember that my mother was a slave. I was born a slave. The fact that my father was a white attorney is merely a consequence of history. I have got where I am in this world not as a result of any legacy. I have worked very hard to achieve what I have. I suppose it would have been quite natural for me to throw in my lot with the plantocracy. After all, I do own a lot of property. But the Lord would not have me neglect those who need help and guidance most. The Lord helps those who help themselves. You remember the story in the Bible about the servants who were given talents? One hid his under a stone, and he gained nothing. The other two took theirs out and multiplied them. Well, I started with a few pennies, ran a shop. After that, I bought and sold coffee to England, and then I invested in certain properties, and that is how I've been able to accumulate a bit. I didn't stop there. Along with some others, I helped to found the Jamaica Mutual Life Assurance Society. No, I didn't do that just for my own benefit, but for the benefit of everybody who insured with and saved with that society. The Lord helps those who work hard, you know.
You mentioned the Lord. What is your relationship with the church?
Well, I was, of course, born into the Anglican Church, but I soon realized that this church really could not articulate the needs of the poor. Jesus Christ was always on the side of those who faced suffering. He always chose for the poor. But here the Anglican Church is merely an arm of the state, condoning all of the oppression and all of the corruption. Later on, I investigated the ways of the Presbyterians, but I soon came to the conclusion that none of the religions of the mother country can speak to the problems and needs of the masses in this kind of country. So, although it may be out of character, I have joined the Native Baptists, and I have my own flock there.
Last week I met Deacon Bogle, who told me he was a deacon in your church.
Bogle.
Yeah.
Deacon Bogle. He's a fine man. It's not often you find a character with such guts, with such sobriety as Deacon Paul Bogle. He's more than a religious associate. He's a firm friend who has helped me in every single occasion when I have been running for public office.
And I understand that you have won quite a name for yourself.
Yes, I have been elected a member of the Kingston Common Council, and I used to be a member of the St. Thomas Vestry, at least until that brute Governor Eyre decided to dismiss me. I have been elected to the Assembly as recently as 1863.
My notes tell me that you made a speech which signified that you are going to be a constant thorn in the side of Governor Eyre.
Oh, you just listen. I am an upfront person, you see. I speak frankly, and those who don't like it, well, they can steam themselves. We have been afflicted with a lieutenant governor by the name of Edward John Eyre. This British miscreant has absolutely no respect for legality. He doesn't obey the laws, whether they be of the land, of morality, or anything else. Do you remember that the first thing he did when he came here was to issue what he called a morality proclamation?
What praise morality proclamation?
You might as well ask. Remember how he said it? In that awful piping voice he has? No one shall be placed on a list for public appointment unless he can produce a letter from a minister of religion certifying his honesty, sobriety, and morality. Imagine Edward John Eyre setting himself up as the defender of public morality. He used to say that anyone who criticizes him was guilty of disloyalty to the crown. So that when I made a speech criticizing the conditions of the Morant Bay jail, he got together with his friend Baron von Kettelholt, the Custos, to cook up an inquiry to dismiss me from my post as a magistrate.
Oh yes, Baron von Kettelholt was Custos at the time.
Yes, but that didn't bother me. That didn't frighten me at all. In fact, it only increased my resolve to speak what was true to speak what was right. And when I was re-elected to the Assembly in 1863, I knew that I would have a platform there from which I could speak my mind and denounce all of the evil that these men were trying to carry out. I can remember what I said on that day. Good gentlemen, as an elected official representing the people, I must comment on that select band among us who are called the Executive Committee. As we all know, the Executive Committee is headed by none other than His Excellency, the Lieutenant Governor. Along with the members of this committee, they have responsibility for the day-to-day affairs of government and all of the public service. To date, I contend they have mismanaged those public affairs after a fashion that is no longer to be tolerated by us. I state that they have mismanaged public affairs in a manner that is subversive to all of the best interests of this country. There are many, many examples of this. The first thing is their interference in parochial matters. Can you tell me why they are interfering once again with the Kingston Corporation? And why do they continue to meddle in the business of the parish vestries, which are supposed to represent the people at a local level? It appears to me that they don't think that local government is of any importance whatever. Or perhaps we ought to reflect whether there are some members of that executive committee who feel threatened by the parish vestries. Look at the condition of our roads. Does anybody care that every time we have a shower of rain, another piece of roadway disappears? We are told that we are suffering from the want of engineering talent. Yet we have imported the foreigners. Oh, we have lots of foreign engineering experts under one Mr. Leahy. And we still can't see any improvement in the roadways. Gentlemen, they have introduced a budget which is the biggest farce played on this country. As far as I'm concerned, it has one only design, and that is to break the backs of the poor. They have now placed a tax on horses and cows. Horses and cows. They have increased the stamp duty, not by 10%, not by 15%, but by 1/3. 1/3 increase on stamp duties. They have gone further, and they've increased the tax on bills of lading by 200%. The same kind of thing is true about the hospitals, you know. Each year we hear that vast sums of money are spent, and yet which of you would say that the people of this country have a decent healthcare system? Which of you? Education isn't to be left out either. If you're talking about education of the people, remember the author who said that knowledge is power, and reflect how poor the people of this country must be because the quantity of education that they get is so small. Gentlemen, the executive committee takes credit for an overflowing exchequer. They say that they have done better than the previous executive. But what have they really done? Have they not made an attack on the banks and taken from their vaults some 100,000 pounds of specie, of currency? The very same money saved up by the people of this country. They have taken it and they have locked it up in the treasury instead of letting it out at reasonable interest or investing it in productive enterprises. The numbers are right, but the country is inconvenienced for the want of currency for the want of money for investment. And yet there are thousands of pounds locked up in the treasury. Oh yes, the revenue has exceeded last year's totals. But how, pray tell? They have done it by the imposition of the most oppressive import duties, which have caused the most drastic increase in prices. Everybody has witnessed that. But who suffers most? Not you, and not me, gentlemen. I warn you all. This country is like a sick man. But if you are a doctor, you had better make sure that the remedy you prescribe is not more terrible than the disease you are trying to cure. The people have no jobs. They can't afford to buy the land. We have idle lands all over the place. We also have hungry bellies beside that. We are in a slough of despondency in this country, and we're going to remain there for 100 years unless we do something to effect the substantial improvement of the condition of the people of this land.
What was the reaction to your speech?
This dragon is not easily shaken. Since then, Eyre and his cronies have lost no opportunity to try to discredit my name. But that doesn't make me tremble in my boots, sir. I will continue to speak out for the poor as long as there is oppression in this island. Every time there is an economic crisis, those who are in power seek to shift the crisis onto the back of those who can bear it least, the poor people. They do so by placing taxation like the whip on the back of a donkey. Christ, man, how much more taxes do they think the poor can pay?
So then what do you see as the long-term solution?
You don't understand. For the poor, there is no long-term or short-term. The only term they understand is now. They need houses now. In Kingston, they need sidewalks now. There is inadequate drainage. Most of the time, there is no water in the pipes. We need to free up the economy once again, and not just for the planters. If we are given the opportunity, we can make it. Remember, I was born a slave. I took the opportunities that I had. Nowadays, most people in this country don't see themselves as having any opportunities, any chance to make good. And I warn you, when that happens, the people's voice must be heard. Enough is enough, man.
It is a paradox that two men from different stations in life should view the social situation with so much despair. I was impressed with the raw sincerity of Paul Bogle as against the controlled concern of George William Gordon. Today, I have arranged a meeting with both of them.
Apologies.
Brother Gordon, good to see you.
Gentlemen, a lot has happened since we last met. My research tells me that the people are looking to both of you for leadership.
I don't know what Brother Gordon thinks, you know. But I know we can't take it no more. Something just has to give. This government has no heart.
You know, we are witnessing the reign of a government which is corrupt, it is immoral, and among the most oppressive that we have seen on the face of this earth. Let me tell you, the whole intention of the Negro-hating, slave-loving minority in this country is designed for the impoverishment of the Negro people, so that they will be compelled to work for the lowest wages.
You know that the owners of the estate will move a whole village of people from where they've been living for years.
So why is this?
Anywhere poor people live, they plant fruit trees. You know, little breadfruit, little lackey, so on. As soon as the trees start to bear fruit, grapes, they move them to another estate. Anyhow, those people go back to try to pick their own fruits of their own fruit trees. They locked them up for pre-deal last night. And you know there's no justice down there in the courthouse.
The surest way to impoverish a people and to render them dispirited is to deprive them of what they have sown in terms of food crops, especially when food is scarce. And if you want to add insult to injury, then you must remember that they have now passed a law which allows corporal punishment, beating, flogging, for petty larcenies, even although there is no such penalty for forgery. So what do you see? Obviously, all of these brutal measures are aimed at breaking the will of the poor.
I have news for them, though. Not if I can help it.
So what do you plan to do now?
I think it is time for action.
Action? What kind of action are you thinking of?
We have to hit them where it hurts. We still know how to set fire to the cane fields. We still know how to burn great houses.
No, Deacon. That is not the way that it must be done. What we have to do is to use every legal means that is available to us. We have to ensure that the necessary changes are brought about in an orderly fashion.
Brother Gordon, my people are tired of being patient and orderly. Every time we get another bad verdict in the courthouse, we hear we must be patient and orderly and forgive. Well, the forgiveness is running out.
But do not forget that now I am back in the assembly, and I will not allow my voice to be silenced.
With due respect, sir, it's time we go beyond talk. It's time now for action. Don't you sound like you're succeeding in Haiti? Well, so can we.
Because the time is not yet ripe.
When? How much longer? We write a petition to the Queen, telling her about the suffering down here in Jamaica. Mrs. Queen write back telling us, work harder, save more. Work harder for what? Save more for who? For whose benefit?
Deacon, we mustn't let this pressure get to us. That is exactly what they want. For you and for me to break the law so that they can make martyrs out of us.
Nothing wrong with being a martyr, as long as it advances the cause of my people.
For any government to make sense, they must be sensitive to the needs of the people. They can't rule by laws and regulations ordained in some far-off land. I have been preaching that the poor people of this country are oppressed by vile legislation. So I can understand the anger of Deacon here. But I also know what wickedness they are capable of. So we have to be careful.
The bottom going to drop out of the bucket, Brother Gordon. You better go talk to them, sir. Talk to them.
All
I
right.
beg you, talk to them.
All right. I will hold a meeting next week. Lend me your notepad, man.
Come one, come all, to a public meeting in Morant Bay Square on July 29th. Poor people, starving people, you who have no sugar estate to work on, you who can find no other employment, we call on you to come forth and protest against the unjust representations made against you by Mr. Governor Eyre and his band of custodies. Come and listen to men free of government influence, men of conscience and honesty.
Gordon's public meeting did not take place until August 9th. Thousands of people came down from the hills to the meeting, which was held in the Morant Bay Square. A unanimous decision coming out of that meeting was that Paul Bogle was to take a petition and present it to the governor in Spanish Town, the capital city.
Brothers, today we are making history. We have walked 45 long miles to the seat of power, this citadel called Spanish Town, the home of the one called Governor Eyre. We have a petition here, a petition that sets out our grievances. All we want is justice. Naturally, All of you can't come inside with me. We don't want to frighten them. Not yet anyway. Wait here for me. I'm going inside to see the governor.
Where do you think you're going?
I am Deacon Paul Bogle. I have traveled from St. Thomas in the east at a place called Stony Gut. I have a petition here and I'm going to present it to the governor.
Why do you think he'll see you?
I represent the people. This petition is signed by many.
Wait here. The governor's secretary says he has no time to see you. I'd advise you take your band of men and leave Spanish Town before dark, if you hope to see tomorrow.
Moses Bogle, you're my brother. James McLaren, you're one of my own preachers. The two of you are like my right hand and my left hand. What I'm about to say to you now could mean death for all of us. But we cannot back. We have to start our own army. All men, young and old, must prepare for training. We have to be prepared. I am finished with all the chat. We have tried everything. Now it is time for action.
Yes,
We're either going to live as free men or die in the pursuit of freedom.
Today, October 7th, a small disturbance took place at the Morant Bay Courthouse when supporters of Paul Bogle freed a man who was arrested for contempt of court. Several policemen received body blows in the fracas that ensued. The magistrate has reported the matter to the Custos of the parish, Baron von Kettelholt. Unconfirmed reports say that a warrant has been issued for the arrest of Paul Bogle. You have heard what's happening in Morant Bay, sir?
Yes. The news has been coming out in bits and pieces. Oh, I wish I could ride out to Morant Bay and try to restore some peace. My doctor has confined me to bed for the past 3 weeks. Have you been in touch with Deacon Bogle?
I have not been able to reach him, but I did hear that he and his men have retreated to a secret hiding place in the hills. So I came by here to see if you are able to tell me where I can locate him.
Stony Gut has its own security system. And so you'll just have to take your own chances from there. Personally, I haven't been in touch with Paul Bogle for several weeks now. Oh, I never expected things to escalate like this. And I can bet that the attitude of that Custos Baron von Kettelholt isn't helping to cool things down. You can't fight fire with fire. I trust that Paul Bogle is exhibiting the kind of leadership that I expect of him. He has a daughter who lives somewhere in Stony Gut. The best I can offer to do for you is to write her a note and ask her to put you in touch with her father. Ethelred, bring me my pen and a writing pad.
Nice to see you again. You're a brave man to come up here.
A reporter's job is never done. All sorts of stories on the road about you. Some even say you're dead.
Dead? I know they'd love that. Well, they might kill the body one day, yes. But they will never kill my spirit and what I stand for.
What really happened down at the courthouse last week?
Well, it was one of the usual trespass cases. This time against Lewis Miller. They said he trespassed on Middleton Estate. Well, we all went down as usual, down to the courthouse to go and listen to the wicked magistrate. There was a man They convict him of assault. The fine was 4 shillings, but the court cost was 12 shillings and 6 pence. 4 shillings for fine and cost for 12 and 6. And you know where all that cost going? Into their pockets. So, go here, gun who live topside fronted. Shout out to the man to pay the fine and appeal the cost. Who tell him to talk? Arrest him! Arrest him! Of course, you couldn't sit down there and take it like that. So we free Koyegan from the police. Master, all hell break loose. No flick drop, bow, bow, bow. Yes, sir. But then they realize that we're not going to sit down and take them oppression anymore. My dear sir, today them send constables to arrest me. Arrest Deacon Bogle in Stonygut. We make pimento talk in them skin. We beat them and send them back to Kettle Holt. Well, I hear they're having a special session of the vestry tomorrow night. I wonder if Brother Gordon going to be there.
I doubt it. When I saw him yesterday, he was still ailing, coughing badly. Sounds like consumption to me. Down in Morant Bay, some said you left the disturbance shouting color for color. Some say you shouted skin for skin. What do you mean by those phrases?
How come the Englishman, the Scotsman, the Irish treat people with my skin, with my color, treat us like dogs? No respect, utter contempt. They have the army and the police to protect them and their property. They have the courts to protect their interest. They even have the Church of England to give them safe passage to heaven. And yet if black people just as much as calling each other to stand up for one another, you hear that they're going to riot.
There are stories that you're training your men for violence. They say that all of them have to take a secret oath and then drink a concoction of white rum and gunpowder.
Is that everything you hear? You must believe it. But look here. There comes a time in the life of everyone when they have to decide their own fate. A time when they decide not to turn the other cheek. You know, it looks like in this country it's only black people have other cheek to turn. Eh? Listen, times are hard. I don't have to tell you that. The people are tired of waiting. And waiting for what? When there's no hope, people are going to get desperate. And a desperate man will do anything. We have exhausted every effort to get our voices heard. James McLean and me walk 45 long miles to Spanish Town, and all I get is door slam in my face. The white man fight for his rights. Don't make ghosts fool him. He's not satisfied with the rights that God give him. He's even willing to fight for rights that him give himself. But black people mustn't fight. That sound right to you? Well, it don't sound right to me. It touch me. I'm flesh and blood. Nobody human but white people. Tomorrow, all of us going down there. We're going to talk. But if they want fight, we're going to get them fight. And if they want war, they're going to get war. And if they want blood, we're going to give them blood.
Violence broke out at the Morant Bay Courthouse today when Paul Bogle led more than 200 of his supporters to protest his attempted arrest yesterday. After heated words passed between volunteers guarding the courthouse and Bogle's men, a volley of stones were rained on the courthouse. Baron van Kettleholt, who was then inside presiding over an emergency meeting of the town vestry, ventured out to the steps of the courthouse, where he then read the riot act and gave orders for guns to be fired. In the fracas that followed, 28 men, including Baron himself, were killed and 30 wounded. Unconfirmed reports say that the Morant Bay Courthouse was set on fire as Bogle and his men retreated to Stonygut. Your wife told me I could find you here. I left the horse more than 1 mile away and walked here so I wouldn't arouse any suspicion. Governor Eyre sent 200 troops to Morant Bay last week Thursday, and on Friday he declared martial law. Then, in a special meeting of the Council of War, he said, yes, all this has come of Mr. Gordon's agitation. Your wife said that they came to your house yesterday with a warrant for your arrest.
I know. But I have done nothing wrong. My good friend Dr. Fides can attest that I have not left my house during all of the disturbances. God knows I never gave them any bad advice. All I told them was that the Lord would provide a day of deliverance. The cause of this disturbance is because of the arrogance. It is because of the improper conduct of the Baron. Oh, what a terrible appointment for the governor to have made. And with what a result. I truly deplore all that has taken place. I have always preached peace and patience to the fullest extent. But when the poor lose confidence, when they have no hope in justice, there is very little alternative. All this was avoidable. It need not have taken place. I am sorry for those who have been hurt. I am grieved for those who have lost their lives in this sad situation. I am weak. My bones are aching. I know that they will have to find a scapegoat. My mother-in-law has even suggested that I should go away for a while, but I have told her that to do so would only speak of my guilt. So I have come to spend a few days with my cousin in order to enjoy the tranquility of this society. Mr. Reporter, I have to ask you a service. Would you carry a letter to my solicitor, George Airy?
I am in the security of a safe conscience, notwithstanding all that has been said about me. I hope you will not desert me in council on this trying occasion. You know that my best and most confidential friends are white men. It is with this class that I have grown and lived, and I really can have no other feeling but gratitude and affection for them. This I beg you to believe. God is able to do all things. I will patiently wait upon him.
For that, before the insurrection at Morant Bay on the 11th day of October, 1865, when the said George William Gordon did, in furtherance of the said massacre, at divers periods previously to the same, incite and advise with certain of the insurgents, thereby by his influence tending to cause the riot, whereby many of her most gracious Majesty's subjects lost their lives, the said George William Gordon is arraigned, first, on the charge of high treason against Her Majesty Queen Victoria, second, with having complicity with certain parties who were engaged in the rebellion, riot, or insurrection at Morant Bay on the 11th day of October, 1865.
Yesterday, October 20th, Gordon was arrested in Kingston, but was taken to Morant Bay, where it was much easier to get a conviction under existing martial law. Today, he was brought to trial, and in his defense, he said,
The outcome of this hearing seems already a foregone conclusion. However, for what it is worth, I have prepared some remarks in my defense.
Silence!
The extensive possession of lands which I have would, I think, be a sufficient guarantee for wishing the safety of property. And therefore rebellion would be the last thing that I wish to see. I have always recommended the people
who constantly came to me with their problems, to have patience and to persevere. And as a proof of that, I have always endeavored to have their votes recorded so as to obtain legitimate relief. I state solemnly now before my Maker and before this court that I never knew from Paul Bogle or from any other person of any intended insurrection in this parish. If I am to die, then I die triumphantly. I never knew anything about this until I was told by a policeman in Kingston. I admit that the circumstantial evidence is suspicious against me, but I can't help that. Paul Bogle is, I admit, my political friend, but by his duty and by his profession, he is bound to have practiced peace and goodwill. I was astonished to hear that he was the head of this insurrection. In fact, I can hardly believe it.
George William Gordon was found guilty and sentenced to death in a trial based solely on circumstantial evidence.
You sure I can go inside? Deacon.
You think I was sleeping? No. Just talking to my Lord.
Things took a sudden turn, Deacon.
Not sudden at all. If you leave the fire under the pot for too long, it must boil over at some time. Well, that time just come now. We march on Morant Bay to protest lawfully. That's within our rights. Whether the governor here want to accept that or not. But when white man hear the drum rolling and the fife blowing, he get frightened and him read the riot act. Blow, blow, blow! So what do you expect? We have to defend ourselves. When a man aim a gun at you and fire it, his only intention is to kill you. So we had to defend ourselves. God knows that I wish that no blood had to flow.
You know they convicted George William Gordon today?
So the news reached me.
They say he's to be hanged tomorrow in the archway of the courthouse.
Not if I can help it.
What do you mean?
Too soon to talk.
You know they're out looking for you too?
Where them look? These hills are my backyard.
I understand that they have enlisted the help of the Maroons.
The Maroons again. They will do anything for money. Blood money. I would rather die than be a Maroon and sell my own color to the white man.
They say that the events were premeditated.
I know they think all black people stupid. But you believe that I would lead 300 of my men with stick and stone against the fire of their rifles? Who fired the first shot? Nobody got killed until the gun started barking. But now they know what it feels like when they brutalize innocent people. Innocent of everything but being black. They flog us, they burn down their houses, they shoot us down like wild hog. God knows they deserve what they got. And who suffered the greater loss? More of my people died than theirs. I don't say they won't catch me. But if my life is to be sacrificed to help free black people from the jaws of white man, then let it be. They crucified Jesus too. All I ask the good God is that when they catch me, let them hang me good and proper. I don't want my feet touching the ground. Let them hang Paul Bogle high, for it will not be in vain. Man was born to be free. Let me be a dead, free black man.
My beloved Lucy, General Nelson has just been kind enough to inform me that the court-martial on Saturday last has ordered me to be hung, and that the sentence is to be executed in an hour hence, so that I shall be gone from this world of sin and sorrow. I regret that my worldly affairs are so deranged, but now it cannot be helped. I do not deserve this sentence, for I never advised or took part in any insurrection. All I ever did was to recommend the people who complained to seek redress in a legitimate way. And if in this I err or have been misrepresented, I do not think I deserve the extreme sentence. It is, however, the will of my heavenly Father that I should thus suffer in obeying his command to relieve the poor and needy, and to protect, as far as I was able, the oppressed. And glory be to his name. And I thank him that I suffer in such a cause. Glory be to God, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. And I can say it is a great honor thus to suffer, for the servant cannot be greater than his Lord. I can now say with Paul the aged, the hour of my departure is at hand, and I am ready to be offered up. I have fought a good fight. I have kept the faith, and henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me. Say to all friends an affectionate farewell, and that they must not grieve for me, for I die innocently.
This morning, 7:15 a.m., George William Gordon was hanged in Morant Bay. He went to the gallows proclaiming his innocence and asking for forgiveness for those who have wronged him. Yesterday, shortly after my last interview with him, Paul Bogle was captured. He's been found guilty. Tomorrow, October 24th, he will be put to death by hanging.